Hello everyone, my name is Dominique Walker and I am the Publishing Officer for the Scottish Universities Press. Academic libraries across Scotland are collaborating to develop an open access publishing press that is owned and managed by the participating libraries. The press was developed throughout 2022 and launched an open call for proposals in early 2023. This introductory presentation sets out the background to the project, covering what the press sets out to achieve and why. It will also look at how the press will work, where we've got to so far and what we've got planned next. The project is being coordinated through the Scottish Confederation of University and Research Libraries, or SCURL, the membership body that supports collaborative initiatives across Scotland's academic and research libraries. SCURL is hosted at the National Library of Scotland. SCURL has existed in some form now for over 30 years, so member libraries have a really strong background in working together to support these kinds of cooperative developments. The process began with the identification of a shared challenge across Scottish academic libraries. In this case, it was the need for a clear and cost-effective route to open access publishing that would satisfy funder requirements, ref requirements, and align to the principles of Plan S. There is a growing focus on open access by funders and the wider scholarly communications community, and the options for publishing open access with commercial publishers can be complex and costly. While open access for journal articles is well established now, the focus is shifting to include books. From 1st of January 2024, UKRI-funded monographs, book chapters and edited collections must be made open access within 12 months of publication, and Coalition S members are committed to full open access for monographs. It is also likely that ref policy will be updated to include open access for books, and more information should be released later in 2023. So SUP aims to provide a cost-effective route to open access publishing for academics at our member institutions who are going to be affected by these changes. Beyond meeting this immediate objective, there is an appetite to explore alternative approaches to academic publishing that are of the Academy and have the needs of the Academy at the core. Content published open access is freely accessible on a global scale, thus increasing the impact of the research and ensuring access for all, regardless of location or ability to pay. Publishing more work open access will help raise a global visibility and usage of research at Scottish institutions. Through SUP, researchers at Scottish institutions have a clear opportunity and the functional means to effect long-term meaningful change in the academic publishing landscape. So SCURL members knew that they had the capacity to work together to deliver a mutually beneficial outcome for the sector in Scotland. So in 2019, SCURL commissioned research to test a proof of concept for a collaborative universities press. The resulting report was very favourable towards the prospect and discussions began on taking forward the findings. So that explains the high-level why and the why now. There are 18 SCURL institutions involved in the press, ranging from the larger research intensives to small specialist institutions, and the Open University is taking part too. There was an understanding that there will be considerable variation in the publishing needs of the different members. The press has developed an open and inclusive management structure so that all participants have equal voice in decision-making. The management board of the press was formed in late 2021 with a representative from each participating library. The management board will provide the strategic direction for the press. The board is chaired by Hannah Whaley, who is Assistant Director at the University of Dundee Library, and the Vice Chair is Dominic Tate, who is Head of Library Research Support at the University of Edinburgh. Gillian Daly, who is SCURL Executive Officer, takes on the role of Press Manager, and she is responsible for the central coordination of efforts across the group. So what is the scope of the press? We will have an online open access publishing platform where digital content is freely available to all using CC BY licenses, so authors will retain their copyright. The scope of publishing will initially focus on monographs and edited collections on any subject authored or co-authored by academics at one of the 18 participating institutions. Although we will cover all subject areas that receive submissions, we are conscious that the arts and humanities and social sciences are likely to be the most involved in publishing monographs. We are focusing on monographs and edited collections in this initial phase because we think there is the strongest need here for alternative approaches, in particular with the upcoming changes to UKRI and ref policies that we mentioned earlier. There is the intention to expand to cover different types of content from 2024 onwards, such as journals and textbooks. To ensure that we publish high-quality content, all proposals and manuscripts will go through a rigorous peer review process that is managed by the SUP editorial board. Print copies of books will be available to purchase using a print-on-demand service with global distribution options. This means that authors can still earn royalties on print copies sold, and we do understand that a print option is still important for monographs. We will also provide a full publishing service to our authors, as you would expect from a more traditional publisher, and this includes everything from the production side, for example, professional copy editing and typesetting, through to marketing, discoverability, reporting on usage statistics, and securely archiving the titles to ensure the ebook will always be available open access. So how are we going to achieve this? The approach of the press is very much dependent on the contributions of SCUL member libraries, using the skills and expertise available across the network to drive the project. The SEP model has been developed through consultation with the academic community in Scotland and with reference to best practices and emerging research in open access publishing. As an institution-led press, we can be very responsive to higher education policy changes, adapting the press to meet the needs of our institutions. Member libraries contribute to running costs through a subscription. This covers the fixed costs of the press, including staff salaries, platform hosting fees, branding, and other setup costs. The press will operate on a not-for-profit basis, and any surpluses will be reinvested in the press for the benefit of all partner institutions. Our not-for-profit status frees us from some of the constraints faced by commercial publishers that can place restrictions on publishing longer or more specialist content. SEP decided on a local rather than outsourced option, and the online platform is currently being developed via the existing SCUL shared service route with the University of Edinburgh using the Open Monograph Press software, and the platform will launch when the first content is published. I mentioned earlier that the Management Board provide the strategic direction for the press. The role of the editorial board members is to advocate for the press and encourage submissions, review proposals, and contribute to the development and ongoing management of the peer review process. The SEP editorial board is formed of 14 academic colleagues from participating institutions, 2 external members, and the chair of the management board will also sit on the editorial board. We decided from the outset that we wanted to be as open and transparent as possible, so our call for editorial board members was opened up to all academics at our participating institutions, and there was a very positive response to a call for expressions of interest. After a recruitment period, the editorial board was announced in July 2022, and you can view a full list on the SEP website. We are really keen for the editorial board to promote diversity across the group, and we've included 2 specific places for early career researchers, giving them experience of working on the board with guidance from more experienced colleagues. SEP works on a subsidised model. Member libraries are covering the fixed costs via subscription, and we also receive in-kind contributions from our management and editorial boards, allowing the press to deliver a cost-effective solution. In order to cover the title-specific costs of publishing, such as the copy editing and typesetting, production charges will be payable by the author or their employer or funder upon acceptance of a book for publication. Production charges will vary depending on content length and complexity of the monograph, and we've split the cost into 3 bands. Band A covers works of up to 80,000 words and will cost £3,500, including VAT. Band B covers works of 80 to 100,000 words and costs £4,500, including VAT. And lastly, Band C covers longer works of over 100,000 words and will cost £5,500, including VAT. And due to the subsidised model, we are able to offer much lower charges than commercial publishers, whose book processing charges can range from £8,000 to over £15,000 before VAT. We are aware that not all academics at participating institutions will have funding from a grant to cover these production charges. There is currently a variation in approach across institutions in how to cover open access charges for unfunded content. In some cases, universities have central funds to support open access, so there will be a route to financing publication at institution level. Other institutions are currently scoping the support they can offer, and SEP is currently surveying our member institutions to better understand this complex landscape. It is likely that more funding will become available for open access book publishing in the future. SEP is actively involved in the open access funding conversation, and we are scoping alternative funding options to better support our authors. On 3rd of February 2023, SEP launched an open call for content and will accept proposals for monographs and edited collections in any subject by academics at participating institutions. The proposal form and all related guidance are available on the SEP website, which is www.sup.ac.uk. All proposals will go through the agreed peer review process and will be reviewed by the editorial board 3 times a year. A short-term initial call ended on the 18th of January 2023, and this call aimed to attract monographs nearing completion that will be ready for publication in 2023 or 2024. Decisions are going to be communicated to these authors by March 2023. SEP are also scoping out support for early career researchers in collaboration with the ECR representatives on our editorial board. Early career researchers can be undervalued or underrepresented in traditional publishing, and SEP aims to support ECRs in publishing their first monograph. More information will be added to the SEP website in due course. The SEP editorial board has developed a rigorous peer review process to ensure that all content published by SEP meets the highest academic standards. All proposals accepted by the editorial board will be sent for external peer review. A final publishing decision will be made by the editorial board, and if accepted, a contract will be agreed. Publication will be dependent on the successful peer review of the completed manuscript. The manuscript will then enter the production workflow. The full peer review policy and procedure and related workflows are available on the SEP website for all to view. SEP depends on an extended network of peer reviewers offering their time and expertise to support our editorial board in reaching publication decisions. In recognition of the value we place on this input, SEP does offer peer reviewers an honorarium for proposal and full manuscript reviews. It's also really important to SEP to adhere to the highest ethical standards throughout our publication process, and that is why we follow the Committee on Publication Ethics Guidelines, or the COPE Guidelines. We also offer the opportunity for interested academics to join the SEP peer review network. If you are interested in reviewing for SEP, then please register your details on the SEP website, and your details will be added to our database of potential peer reviewers and will contact you with any suitable opportunities for peer review. Thank you for listening to this introductory presentation. Please keep an eye on our website for future announcements and further guidance. You can also sign up to our newsletter there too. We are really keen to hear from academics and staff across all of our institutions. SEP is very much a collaborative effort, so please contact us with any feedback or thoughts, as everything is useful to help us develop the press to the needs of our institutions. Thank you.